Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a very interesting video. It's going to be a video, basically I'm going through all the 5 stars I have since I started reading again, and I'm going to tell you if I'd rated a 5-star now, so did it hold up or not. So none of these are in order. I don't know why they're not in order from when I rated them 5 stars, but they aren't. So overall, since I started reading back again in 2022, I have 73 5 stars. So the first one is Cilkas Journey. It's the second book in the Tattooist of Auschwitz series. I probably wouldn't rate that 5 stars again. It's probably a 3-star, to be quite honest. I think I was being very generous giving it a 5-star back then. I think... Sorry. So I think because I had previously rated it a 5-star, I think that was because I was being really generous with my rating, because I was new to reading. I feel like I've gotten a bit more tough when it comes to my ratings, but yeah, that wouldn't be a 5-star for me now. Keeping 13 will always be a 5-star in my mind. I will continue to rate it 5 stars. I would rate this 10 stars if I could. Absolutely amazing. A Court of Mist and Fury, 100% stays at 5 stars. I wouldn't change that at all. The next 2 are quite questionable. November 9 by Colleen Hoover, I had rated 5 stars. Now, that would go down to probably a 2. Ugly Love. Don't know why I rated that a 5 stars, but I did. See, this is all in 2022, so it's like 3 years ago. 3 years ago. That would probably be a 1.5 or a 2 now. Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I rated that a 5 stars. Now looking back on it, I'd probably rate that a 4 stars. I loved it, and I feel like I gave it the 5 stars because I felt like I had to, not because I wanted to. I was afraid of the book talk community coming for me. So yeah, we're going to bump him down for a 4. Daisy Hates the Great Undoing, 5 stars, nothing to be said, would change nothing. Wildfire by Hannah Grace, absolutely the same, 5 stars, would not change it. The Agathas by Kathleen, Glasgow and Liz Lawson. I rated that 5 stars, but I think I would drop it to a 4. Still really enjoyed it, but I think I would just... It wasn't quite 5 stars. I think I gave it, again, because I felt I had to. I felt because I enjoyed it, I had to give it 5 stars. So that would be a different one. Onyx Storm, 5 stars. That's only recent. Will not be changing that ever. A Court of Wings and Ruin. That will never be changed for a 5-star. I would give it, again, 10 stars if I could. I loved Aquawar so much. Next is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This will actually stay at 5 stars, and the only reason I think that is because it's such a deep book and it deals with quite triggering content. So if I was you, I would look up trigger warnings if you ever think about reading this, but it stays at a 5 stars for me personally. Heartless by Elsie Silver, which is the second in the Chestnut Spring series, 5 stars. It never will change. That will never ever change. Sable Peak was 5 stars. That won't change. Taming 7 by Chloe Walsh is 5 stars, and I won't hear anything else about it. If you don't rate it 5 stars, that's fine. But to me, Taming 7 was a 5-star book. Next is Bessborough. 3 Women, 3 Decades, 3 Stories of Courage. Now, I read this in 2022 when I first started getting back into reading. It is an amazing story of three women who went through the Magdalen Laundries in Ireland. The Magdalen Laundries were a massive thing in Ireland that was brought in by the Catholic Church due to women getting pregnant out of wedlock. So if you were pregnant, I think they stopped officially in the late 1980s, early 1990s, because being a Catholic country, having a child out of wedlock was basically one of the ultimate sins. So it was, you'd go there to kind of repent, you'd do your jobs, your chores, and then when you gave birth to your child would be taken off you. And your child would be adopted to either a family in Ireland, a family in England, a family in the UK, sorry, not in the UK, the US. And some people never never got to see their children again. Some did, but now I rated it 5 stars. But I think now the way I've taken this from Destiny Sinwell, the way she does like memoirs and biographies is no rating because it's based on someone's life, and I think I would change that to no rating. Even though it hit very close to home, because Bessborough is in Cork. It's about 20 minutes away, half an hour away from where I live. My mother was a young mother. She was 17 in the 1980s, having a baby. So it felt very close to home, me reading that. Thank God we didn't end up in the situation that a lot of people did. Like, my sister is still in our lives. Like, my mum got to keep my sister, which is amazing. So yeah, this book would get a no rating from me now, based on the fact that I didn't know how to rate memoirs and biographies back then, 3 years ago, but now I do, so it would just be no rating. Next is the second book in the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher. It is Terms and Conditions. I absolutely love Terms and Conditions. Declan and Iris are brilliant. I wouldn't change it. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, 5 stars. One of the books that got me back into reading. Would never ever change it for the world. Would never change it. Next is Good Me Bad Me by Ali Land. This book is one that's always stayed with me. I obviously gave it a 5 stars, and I've read it twice since I read it initially, and I felt the same every time. Like, even though I know the way the story is going to pan out, I still get the shock in the moments where I should get shock. Really good. I'd highly recommend it if anyone likes like mystery thriller. Now, there is a lot of trigger warnings that you may need to look up going into it, but I really, really enjoy it. Next is Asking for It by Louise O'Neill. This is by an Irish author. I actually think she's from Cork. I'm not sure, that I could be wrong with Cork, but she's definitely Irish. This story is about a girl who is SA'd. So this is quite heavy. This book is quite heavy, and the title Asking for It kind of basically tells you what the book is going to be about, that people think she was asking for what happened to her, basically, and how and the story follows how she deals with it in the aftermath. Really, really beautiful book. Next is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, 5 stars. Never will change it. Again, one of the books that got me back into reading. 5 stars. The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. We're bumping that down to a 3, I'd say. Definitely not 5 again. There's so many of these that I'm looking at and I'm like, you're definitely not a 5 stars. So yeah, Unhoneymooners, not 5 stars for me. At this present time, not 5 stars. As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. It's the 3rd in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. I've seen a lot of people don't like the way that Holly Jackson, chose to end off the series. I personally really liked it. That trilogy can do no wrong in my eyes. Absolutely loved it. It was absolutely fantastic. Next is You Let Me In by Lucy Clark. Cannot remember a single thing about this book. So we're going to drop that down to a 3 stars. Maybe 2, actually. 2. We're going to go down to 2 because I cannot remember a single thing about the book. Next is Daydream by Hannah Grace. Absolutely 5 stars. Sorry, I need a drink. Absolutely 5 stars. That's only a recent read. I only read it in December. Next is Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. The fact that I've rated so many Colleen Hoovers 5 stars is actually kind of embarrassing. Yeah, that would go down to a 2. 2 stars. Maybe even 1. I'm going to have to go through and change all the ratings on these now once I'm done. After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I absolutely love this book. This book made me bawl my eyes out. It's this following this couple after they get married, and like, not the mundaneness of marriage, but just that like life isn't always exciting, happy, you know, like sunshine and roses. Like, life is shit sometimes, and this book shows that. And I feel like it shows a very massive representation of marriage, that like you go through ruts, you could be unhappy at times, you know, but at the end of the day, they love that person. So yeah, it's a beautiful story. I'd highly recommend reading it. Missing Judy by Anne Cassidy, 5 stars, and it is still 5 stars. This book was one of the first books I read as, like, I'd say I was 10 or 11 the first time I read it, maybe 12. And I absolutely loved it. The plot twist got me, and it got me again the second time I read it. It's quite dark. There is a lot of heavy topics in this one. So I would advise looking up trigger warnings if you plan on reading it. But I personally really, really enjoyed Missing Judy. And even the second time I read it, I still thought it was amazing. The No-Show by Beth O'Leary. Absolutely staying at 5 stars. The twist, I did not see the twist coming ever. That was not, like, I didn't think that was where the book was going to go. Okay, next is I Let Him Go by Denise Fergus. I think this is a similar thing with, like, the Bessborough thing, that I don't think I would rate this 5 stars if I read this now. I'd probably give it a no rating, because this is basically, this book is about the mother of Jamie Bulger. I don't know if the US people will know who Jamie Bulger is. I know UK people will know who Jamie Bulger is, because it was a massive, massive story in the early 90s. It was about this boy, I think he was 2 or 3 at the time, and he was in a shopping mall with his parents, no, his mother. He was in like a shopping centre with his mother, and the man was talking to a butcher, and she let go of his hand, and he went missing. And then it was found that 2 teenage boys, I think they were 9 and 10 at the time, they weren't even teenage, they were prepubescent boys, were the ones to lead him away. And he was found a few days later, I think. I can't remember how, like, I'm definitely butchering the story, I'm so sorry. But that's kind of the general gist, is he lost his life due to two young lads. And it's heartbreaking. The book is absolutely heartbreaking to see, like, I'm even getting upset thinking about it. That, like, all she did was let go of his hand for a split second, and that split second changed their whole lives. It changed their whole lives. And I can't imagine the pain that family is going through. Like, I think I remember reading it, and it was a big, massive deal, because I think he went missing in 1993 or 1994. So he would have been the same age as my sister at the time. And I think a lot of parents at that time felt very scared for their kids, very scared of what could possibly happen. So yeah, I 100% recommend reading it if you are interested in anything like true crime or anything like that. But again, it does involve a lot of things to do with children. And I know that can be a hard topic for a lot of people to listen to, so, or to read about. So if I was you, I would definitely look up the trigger warnings before going into it. Next is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Good Girl Bad Blood, the second one. And 5 stars, not changing. Never changing that. Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. I did really, really enjoy this, but now looking back at it, I don't think it was 5 star worthy. I would say 4 stars. I'm gonna bump it down to a 4. Crimson River in the Eden series, 100% 5 stars, never changing that. Crimson River is one of my favourite in the Eden series. Next, another one that I'm like, why? Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover, 5 stars for some reason. We're bumping that down to a 2, 100%. One True Love by Taylor Jenkins Reid is 5 stars. Loved that book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend reading it. Again, another one that I don't know why I've rated 5 stars, because as I look back on it, I didn't enjoy it, but I think because I read it in 2022, again, like the other ones, that I felt I had to rate it 5 stars because I kind of enjoyed it. Now, looking back on it, I probably rated it a 3 star. Jasper Vale in the Eden series. Personally, Jasper Vale isn't one of my favourites, so I think I'd drop that down from a 5 to a 4 star. Because it just personally wasn't my favourite in the series. Like, I love the series. The series as a whole is a 5 star series. So I think at the time that I had to rate them all 5 stars for it to be a 5-star series, but now I've realised you don't have to do that. So I'm going to bump that down to a 4. Next is The Favourites by Lane Fargo. Brilliant. Absolutely bloody brilliant. I got it as an ARC last year. It came out this month. I'm not telling you anything about it. I'll tell you that it's about ice skating, and it gives very I, Tonya vibes, and told in a similar way to like Daisy Jones and the Six, because there's like interview styles and things like that throughout it. Absolutely phenomenal. The writing was brilliant. Next is Powerless by Chestnut Springs. That is 5 stars, and that will never ever change. Jasper Vale. I nearly said Jasper Vale, sorry, because Jasper Vale was 2 up. Jasper Gervais. That's my man. That is my man. Never will change. Next is A Court of Thorns and Roses. Again, similar thing with this series. I felt like if I didn't rate this 5 stars, I couldn't class everything as a 5-star series. So I'm actually going to drop A Court of Thorns and Roses down to 4 stars. And then A Court of Frost and Starlight's also 4 stars. And the other 3 in the series are 5 stars. 4 stars, but yeah. So 2 4 stars and 3 5 stars in the series. Next is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. 5 stars. 5 stars. Will never change. It Ends With Us. I gave that 5 stars. Looking back on it, it's probably a 3. Possibly a 3. Yeah, I'm gonna drop it back to a 3. Not 5 stars for me anymore. Icebreaker, 5 stars, that hasn't changed. Again, Loath to Love You. It's novellas, Ali Hazelwood's novellas from 1 to 3. There's 3 of them, and I enjoyed them. I really did. I just don't know why I rated them 5 stars. Again, that's one that will probably be dropped back to a 4 on reflection, because I read it nearly 2 years ago. So yeah. The Love Hypothesis, I read this in 2022. 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. X's and O's by Amy Leah. I don't know why this is 5 stars. I'm going to drop it down to a 3.5. Because as I was looking at it, I was like, I actually don't really remember much about it. I did enjoy it, but I don't remember. It's not engraved into my brain like other ones are. So I'm just going to drop that down from a 5 to a 3.5. Redeeming 6 is a 5 stars. That will never change. Ever change. It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. Sorry. This is the second one in the It Ends With Us series. Money grab. Back then, when I read it in 2022, like, it was the be all and end all for me. I had to read it. Had to be the best book ever. So I felt like I was obligated to rate it 5 stars. I'm going to rate it probably a 2 star now. I personally, looking back on it, I was like, everyone was saying it was a money grab, and I was like defending it because I loved It Ends With Us so much. But now as I've gotten older, I can now look back and say that was actually a 2-star book. Next is The Boy Who Never Came Home by Emma McManamy. I rated this 5 stars. Again, this is a true book. So I would give this a no rating if I'm going back on it, to be honest, because it's about this boy, the inside story of missing teenager Philip Cairns. It was a big massive deal in Ireland. I think he went missing in Dublin, I want to say. And he's never been seen since, and he hasn't been found, like nothing. He just disappeared one day and has never been seen again. Still unanswered. No one knows where he is still to this day. People have their theories, but no one knows where he is. So yeah, on reflection, I would probably give that a no rating because it's based on someone's life. Next is Verity by Colleen Hoover, and this is a 5 star of hers that I'd actually stick with, because Verity, like, nothing had me as gobsmacked as Verity did, and you were either, what was it, manuscript or, what's this one? I can't remember what the other thing was. Manuscript or letter. I personally believe the manuscript. That's me though. Throttled by Lauren Asher, the first book in the Dirty Air series. Again, looking back on this, it's not 5 stars. It was probably 3.75 to a 4 star, to be honest. I really didn't like the main guy, so I don't know why I rated it 5 stars. I think I felt I had to. Again, it was another one I felt like I had to. So yeah, we're gonna bump that down to a 3.75. Garnet Flats is the third book in the Eden series, and I gave that a 5 stars. I'd actually bump that down to a 4 stars. Looking back on it, that's just my personal opinion. Powerless by Lauren Roberts, 5 stars, and that's still 5 stars. It's only a recent read for me, so that's not going to change. The Librarian of Auschwitz, I rated 5 stars. Looking back on it, I don't know what I'd rate it, but it certainly wouldn't be 5 stars. Maybe 3. I'd say probably 3. Kind of average. Didn't hate it. Didn't love it. Was good. Read it. Finished it. Yeah. Next is The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. Personally, I think I've rated this 5 stars again because I felt like I had to. So we're going to drop it down to a 3 because I kind of predicted everything that was going to happen in the story. I still somehow gave it a 5 stars. I don't know why. Next is Daisy Jones and the Six, 5 stars. We'll hear nothing. No, I will hear nothing bad against Daisy Jones and the Six. One of the best books I've ever read. One of the best book to TV adaptations I've ever seen. I would go see them in concert. Like, it's absolutely amazing. Fourth Wing, 5 stars, will not change. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is 5 stars, and that will not change ever. Brilliant book. Indigo Ridge is the first book in the Eden series. Again, 5 stars. My life changed when I read Indigo Ridge for the first time. I loved it so much. The Long Way Home by Magnolia Parks, absolutely 5 stars. Would never change that. A Court of Silver Flames, 5 stars. This is one of the books that I would give 15 stars if I could. Like, so much so I have Nesta's sword's name tattooed on my arm, and I got it done like a week after reading it. That just shows how much it imprinted on me. I loved it. Next is Beach Read by Emily Henry, absolutely 5 stars. I think I didn't think of it as a 5 stars when I first read it, and I felt like I had to, but over the years as I've looked back on it, I'm like, I actually remember quotes from that book. I remember how it made me feel. I remember where I was when I was reading it. Like, I remember everything about it. And it just makes me happy whenever I think about it, whenever I think about Gus in January. So yeah, 5 stars. Next is Archer's Voice. Will never not be a 5 stars. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I've been talking for like nearly half an hour now, so my throat's getting a bit sore. So yeah, absolutely 5 stars. We'll stay at 5 stars always. Archer's Voice. Well, next is Call It What You Want by Alyssa DeRogatis. I hope I'm saying that right. I feel like I say it differently every time I read it out. 5 stars. I think it's a book that every girl in their 20s needs to read. Absolutely brilliant. I cannot fault it. Next is Confess by Colleen Hoover. Colleen Hoover's on here a lot, lads, for some reason. Confess, that's definitely a 2 star. I have not thought about it since. I have genuinely not thought about that book since I read it. I think I read it in a 24-hour readathon as well or something like that, so I don't know why I gave it 5 stars. Next is another one that I feel like would go in the no rating pile because it's a memoir. Her name is Trish Carney, and she wrote Above Water, A Stolen Childhood, An Enduring Scandal, and A Survivor's Story. So this book, she's Irish, and I actually think she's also from Cork. I think she's a Cork woman. It's about the story of her being a swimmer and the abuse in the swim system, particularly by one person called George Gibney. I don't know if any American people would have heard of George Gibney, but like, because he has fled to America as far as I know, but he was a swim coach and he had been abusing girls over the years. And this is this woman's story about it. Absolutely brilliant book. The way she was able to write that book and just open up about all the trauma she had and all the stuff she had to deal with as a result of what happened to her. Absolutely phenomenal. Next is Spiral by Bal Cabra, which is the second book in the Off the Ice series. That's only a recent read for me, and it's 5 stars. 5 stars. I will never change that. Next is Magnolia Parks Into the Dark, which is 5 stars. Will never change that ever. Next one, again, I don't know why this is 5 stars. I think I felt I had to rate it 5 stars, so I did. Dating Dr. Dill by Nisa Sharma. It's a 3 stars. It's 3. It's 3 now. Next is the Egan's Egan's? The Edens. A legacy short story. It's like it's a little novella in between between the books. I gave it a 5 stars. Like, it doesn't need a 5 stars. I could give it like a 3. A 3. So we're going back down to 3. Next is Juniper Hill, the second in the Eden series. When I thought my life changed when I read Indigo Ridge for the first time, my life changed again when I read Juniper Hill. And that will never change. I absolutely love Knox Eden so much. I don't know what Devney Perry put in that man, but he's amazing. Next is Binding 13. Will never, ever change. Binding 13 is always going to be my 5 star. And then, last, we're ending on kind of a bad one. Not a bad one, but like, it's one that's going to end up with no rating. So it's called The Central Park 5, A Chronicle of a City Wilding by Sarah Burns. I read this back in 2022 and I rated it 5 stars. Again, looking back on it, because it is a memoir biography type thing. And it's telling the story of these 5 phenomenal boys. I would give it no rating based on that. If you haven't heard of The Central Park 5, there's a brilliant docuseries on Netflix. I don't know if it's still there anymore or not. It's called The Central Park 5. It's about these 5 boys. There's a woman murdered in Central Park. They happened to be out in a big massive gang in Central Park. These 5 boys just didn't get away fast enough from the group. And they were immediately put under a spotlight and accused of murdering this woman, and they had nothing to do with it. They all ended up going to juvie and then went into prison. One of them, which is it's heartbreaking, he was close to, I think he was 15 or 16, so he was put into adult prison. He was put into Rikers in New York, and it's just a perfect depiction of the system and how these 5 boys were done so wrongly. I know they've gotten compensation from it through the courts, but compensation isn't enough. Like, they can't get the years that they had in prison back. That's like a lot of their life gone because of something they didn't even do. So yeah, that's one that I would rate a no rating looking back on it. So yeah, they're all the books that I've rated 5 stars. Let me know if you've rated any of these 5 stars or what your 5 star reads are. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.